definitely, we'll have a nice little line out there. But if we actually do design and make in India, for India and for the world, we can actually create a much bigger line, which is much bigger value addition and much more impact on the economy for our country. Thank you.
Thank you, Sanjay. And may I now request Mr. Akshay Agarwal to make his presentation, please.
Thank you. So, Honorable Principal Secretary Ms. Manjula and members of the panelists, I'm very happy to be a part of this session which talks about all the design and make in India which is happening these days. Okay. Is it better? Okay. Okay. Sorry about that. So I'm very happy to be a part of this panel discussion today which talks about the design and make in India and the ESDM policies in India. To give you a brief background of who we are, I'm the General Manager of MediaTek. MediaTek is a leading fabless semiconductor design company. We are global in footprint. Based in Taiwan, we have a revenue of about $7 billion. So the main business for MediaTek is to make fabless semiconductor IC chips which fuel the consumer electronics. And the majority of our business, about $4 billion of our business, is coming from mobile phones. So MediaTek is one of the top 2 companies which has been in the mobile phone business. And as a part of that business, we have seen design and manufacturing very closely. Although we are not doing manufacturing, but most of our customers are engaged in that, so we see that ecosystem very closely. Now, just to give you a brief background about, what Sanjay was saying about the differentiators, I truly agree that design can be a big differentiator in your strategy. Just to give you an example, when we entered the mobile business in about 2007, there were all the incumbents like, all the big tier 1 companies. And here we are, a small Taiwanese company trying to enter the mobile business. So there has to be something very different about us for us to win that business. We said, if you're going to do only hardware, only chips, that is not going to be the mantra for success. Something has to be different about the business. So what we discovered and what we invented was a complete platform solution. And that's how we, coined a term called the turnkey solution. Smaller players could never enter the market. We said if we have to democratize this technology, we have to do something different, and that's when we came up with a turnkey model. What we did was, we said, okay, for example, if a mobile phone has about 20 chips, we will actually design, let's say, about 10 chips. The remaining 10 chips, we are going to partner with people all over the world. We will make a reference platform, and then we will also port the software on top of the platform, which actually gives you a complete working phone. But at the end of the day, we don't want to compete with our customers. So we will give you a reference design to the customers, which has a fully working solution, and then the customers could actually take that to the market and sell it to the end customers. So before we enter the market, it was all these big players who were selling phones, and suddenly this technology has been democratized to enable smaller customers also to sell into the market. So that is just one example of how design can be a differentiator in actually making the product very successful. Besides that, if you look at the technology developments, the world is actually moving at a very fast pace. When we entered the business about 7 years ago or 8 years ago, it was 2G phones all over the place. You had these button phones which were very prevalent. And the 2G market was actually there for about 15, 20 years, and it still is there. But technology has leapfrogged very quickly. From 2G to 3G, the life cycle of 3G has been about 4 to 5 years, and now the world is quickly moving into 4G. And while we're talking about 4G, companies are also investing in 5G. So the life cycle of every technology is becoming shorter and shorter, so companies have to keep innovating to keep up with the pace. And that's very important that, design companies, technology companies have the best talent in their arsenal to actually enable that. From that perspective, India is actually the perfect place to have that design center to make sure that we are able to actually, be in the forefront of technology. So, in fact, I was reading an article yesterday in the Times of India which says about 55 to 60% of the global MNCs have their design centers in Bangalore, in Karnataka. That's a great achievement. And I'm sure the policies as highlighted by, Ms. Manjula and her department have helped a lot in actually enabling companies to come here, give them the confidence that the government is going to be very supportive, the infrastructure is going to be very supportive, and you have the talent pool to make that happen. In fact, I remember that we have had presence in India for about 12 years, but last year, when we wanted to expand, we said, where should we go? And the very obvious answer was Bangalore, Karnataka. We were the first Taiwanese company to come to India with the R&D facility. MediaTek is the first Taiwanese company to have the confidence to come in Bangalore simply because we have seen the ecosystem over here do so well. The talent over here is remarkably good. And, although we came to India about 1 year ago, but we've been able to hire about 300 great engineers within a span of 1 year. The center that we have, which is located in Outer Ring Road, is already producing world-class chips for 4G. And India is actually just entering the 4G market. So imagine the talent pool, and imagine the talent pool that is available in Bangalore, which has given us the confidence to make that happen. So I'm very sure with the policies, with the talent pool that is available in India, India can actually achieve a lot in terms of design. Now talk about manufacturing, a lot of our customers, by the way, as the Principal Secretary was saying, the Indian market is close to about 200 million smartphones. And we are the largest market share in India. Close to about 40% of the smartphones that are sold in India are actually powered by MediaTek chipsets. So we are able to feel that market very well. And our customers are very eager to also get into the manufacturing sector. But of course, as Sanjay said, manufacturing simply can't be assembly. That is just one part of the thing. The next part of that is we have to help them with the help of the government to actually create manufacturing of key components that can go into these mobile phones. And India, being the pulse of the world, as also Sanjay said, if we are able to have this model in India, not only will it benefit the Indian ecosystem, but it will also become a catalyst to support and grow the electronic industry, the mobile phone industry throughout the world. The mobile phone industry is about 2 billion units. So if India, which is about more than 15%, can actually start manufacturing those components, we can also help the entire world to grow their business. So with that, I would like to have a note of thanks to the Principal Secretary and to all my panelists once again for this engaging discussions, and thank you all of you.
Thank you, Akshay. And can I now welcome Dr. Elva to make his presentation?
Good afternoon. Just a brief introduction to Scanray. I'm Alva. I'm the founder and managing director of Scanray Technologies, Mysore. Scanray has a unique place in Karnataka because it was born in Karnataka. We set up our first plant in Mysore, and with a team of 5 engineers. And today we are a team of 600 engineers and plants across the world. We have 2 manufacturing plants in Europe and 1 in Brazil, and shortly we are opening manufacturing in Mexico, Russia, and the Middle East. Now, for us to choose this sector, medical is that we just knew this sector very well, and there's nothing that we knew other than medical and industrial electronics. Yeah, if you see this opportunity in the medical sector, medical and education is the fastest growing industry in the world. It has never seen recession, and it has a very strong social angle to this business. We can see most of the equipments are imported. We are saying that 90% of the electronic components are imported. More than 75% of the medical equipments are imported today. And the general perception was that medical equipments had to be made out of either US or Europe or Japan. Now this is one case study for a lot of people who are interested in setting up manufacturing and design in the country, that a team of 5 can go to 600 in 5 years, go from $1 million to $30 million in just 5 years, manufacture, export, sell in 3 countries, and grow to 60, 80 countries in a matter of 4 years. Now here, you can see there are 2 kinds of healthcare market. We are actually partnered with Mr. Rajan, and GE is where I spent a lot of my time in my farming years. There's a huge ecosystem coming up in the healthcare sector, in the tertiary care, primary care, and in a new growing segment called telemedicine and home care. Now, if you see the, we have most of the people talking about the cell phone, where cell phones have, penetrated every corner of the world and the volumes are very high. Now, when you come to healthcare, this is another possibility where there can be a big revolution worldwide and originating from India. If you see the cell phone, when it started, it was about $1,000 for a cell phone. I myself bought a smartphone at $1,000 a few years back. But then the volumes that were driven out of the Indian, Chinese, Brazilian, and Middle East market has brought the price down to less than $100. Now in the healthcare sector, it is always high complexity, low mix. We don't make millions of products. We make highly complicated few numbers. And then the economies of scale takes a beating. Now this is an opportunity for India and Karnataka. For me especially, I'm also an ambassador for Mysore, because we always think in Karnataka, Mysore may be the next best opportunity. So when I went, when I said I'm going to speak in the Invest Karnataka forum, they said, don't sell Mysore, because we'll have a lot of Bangaloreans coming and settling in Mysore, and they'll also bring along the traffic and then increase the land prices. But if you look at Karnataka, India as such is an extremely good location for high complexity, low mix. When you come to high complexity, there's a lot of engineering content. And our Make in India, the lot of propaganda and initiatives that are coming are mostly focused towards manufacturing with very low value addition. As our distinguished speakers have already spoken, when it is designed in India and manufactured in India, that makes the biggest difference. Now in the medical sector, if you take the primary healthcare devices, you can see it's almost similar to some of the multinationals, but we are complementing the multinationals. We are actually helping healthcare grow through a mix of products. Now if you see, the next biggest opportunity we see is in home care. Like in mobile, we said that the volumes from the developing countries has made phones cheap for the developed countries. US, Europe is benefited because of the volumes of India, China, Brazil, and Russia. Now this is one sector where the Indian scale, the Chinese scale can make the cost to such a level that it can be affordable, and the whole healthcare sector can come out of the subsidy sector. Right now, healthcare is a social subject. Investments in healthcare mostly from the government in the rural side. But if the rural healthcare comes into the private sector, it will just explode and give sufficient volumes. Remote monitoring devices. One of the things that you would have seen is the brick and mortar hospital model, where you have the patients admitted in the hospital, probably in the ICU for a few days, and then in the ward for a few days. But this model is very, very quickly going off. Hospitals will be only ICU beds in the future, and all the healthcare will be provided from home. And for us to move to that, we have to have healthcare devices that are very economical, that can be used, like Mr. Shamrajan said, this 3-button devices, something that can be operated with a single button by attendants at home, and then go to the hospital only for intensive care. Scanray is working on home care solutions and telemedicine and tele-ICU solutions, where ICUs are handled, specialists are in the cities, and ICU equipments are in distributed low volume areas. Now this is, I'm just skipping this. Now you can see the market price. An X-ray, analog X-ray costs about 250 rupees, ultrasound is 450, ECG is 150 and all that. Now if you have an indigenous technology and manufacture in India, this is where you can bring the price down to. And we are having an X-ray machine which was earlier imported for about $16,000, 8 lakh rupees, which has come down to less than $5,000. And if you take a digital X-ray, the cost per X-ray is 1 rupee. If you can amortize the cost of the equipment over the first year, after that it's maybe, let's take it as 5 rupees. So at 50 rupees, and if you have the right kind of volumes, you'll still break even. So Scanray has really shifted from working on medical equipments to find out how to give a high return on investment to the hospital. So one of the ways is move beds out of the hospital, keep only the ICU. The second is bring down the cost of the devices so that the cost of the equipment gets amortized in 1 year, and then it's a very small cost that is needed to break even for the hospital. Most of the hospital you should see are very, very low margin businesses now. And it has come to the rock bottom. I think there is no way it can go below. The society will bring it up, and this is where it will end. And you can see some of the things, like ECG, even 10 rupees per ECG, if you have 100 ECGs per day, will bring it to a break-even level. I'll just skip this side. I can just show you one case study of a mobile X-ray diagnostic device. Again, when you make something out of India, we cannot be a low performance, a subset product at half the price. That market is very quickly dying. Low quality, low cost products will never ever find a market in the country. It's very quickly changing. So if you have to really make in India, you have to export at least 50% of the products out. Only then a company can survive. And Scanray's own story, we survived only because of exports. We got the Indian market only after we succeeded outside the country. Like in Kannada they say, Hittala Gida Maddala. So here, a homegrown industry, it takes very, very long time to get recognition. You should export to US, you should export to Germany, Japan. The same machine should come back to India, and then people will recognize that there is a company in Mysore that is shipping to US, and then it comes back. Now here you can see what happens to the cost. In $16,000 for the X-ray machine, this is a real breakup that I am showing you. 30% of the cost is amortization of the R&D. Shamrajan, during the panel discussions, you can ask, the investment to bring a new model of a CT is in hundreds of millions of dollars. So if you are making 10,000 CTs in a lifetime, you have to recover that investment in those 10,000 volumes for the R&D. Now if you're developing a product in a high cost country, It's 30% of the cost of the machine is amortization, 20% is components, engineering cost is 20%, manufacturing cost is 15%, and other life cycle cost is 15%. When you do it in India, you have $5,000, the same product, or sometimes even better, because we have access to the best technology and software because we are now designing from scratch. Whereas most of the legacy products have been designed in the 90s and they had no need to change to the newest technologies. Now with higher integration, you have 5% amortization. Within 1 year, you can recover the R&D cost. Components 50%. You can see here electronic buys is one of the biggest things, and having a fab in the country, having IC development makes a huge difference to this 50%. Engineering cost is 10, manufacturing cost is 5, and other life cycle costs are 30%. Now if you compare, when I say India, we are representing Karnataka, and specifically I'm talking about Mysore. But if you see medical applications, we are medium in competence. China is medium in competence. You have US, France, Germany, Italy, UK, Scandinavia, and Japan, very high in medical applications competence and documentation. Now, one of the biggest things that has happened in the country is entry of the multinationals have helped the Indian engineering talent to come up to the global levels. So I said, every time when you look at Make in India, it is Make in India, partner with Indian companies, but play global, get more of the multinational companies into the country and complement each other, and then capture the entire global market from India. Mechanical systems, we are high, embedded, you can see all of them. This mix actually shows that if you compare India and China, China is much ahead of us in high volume, medium complexity, and low complexity. But there is no country like India anywhere in the world for high complexity, low volume production. I think we can really revolutionize the market if we start manufacturing and if we have core design sciences. It is not software that is going to develop the country. It is not services. It is core science and core engineering, and that's where the focus should be coming. I'll just skip all of them. Yeah, we have, yes, I just spoke about that. So the closing remark I have here is that it's 5 years back, there were not many startups. You can see there's a huge activity in this space. And for people who think that they have the passion, they have the technology, and they have the nose for quality. One of the biggest disadvantages India and China together faced is made in India, made in China products have had very low marketability in the world in the past. It's very fast changing. There is a strong ecosystem. There is a strong support from all quarters here. If you think that you can set up something, this is the right time. The market is booming. There is a lot of talent available, and India is probably one of the best to manufacture. Karnataka as a state and Mysore as a city. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Elva, in selling Mysore. And may now invite Mr. Manikam to make his presentation.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know why I always get the last slot. Maybe because I'm in semiconductor, and maybe I'm a hardcore manufacturing guy, and I can see the enthusiasm in the crowd. Half of them are walking back and forth. Still a lot of chairs are empty. I do have a request for the principal secretary. One of the things I notice is the best minds we have in India end up in a lot of the software type application, internet-based, what I call more like a trading type of business. And there's a lot of money to be made, and it's required in India as well. I wish in the next Karnataka Invest or conferences like this, please get some of the students to come. Because you need to tell them that manufacturing is actually a very interesting thing. And I'll give you a couple of incidents, my personal incidents. When I graduated from college for the final thesis, at that time software was just starting, right? And I was pretty good in software, Fortran and Pascal those days. And so I wanted to do a software project. But my professor said, Raja, this is for dumb guys. You're a smart guy. You should be doing some real hardcore product, right? Go design something. So I ended up creating a small board to simulate the nervous system. And it was very, those kind of things, was in my head. And although I'm an engineering guy doing a lot of the engineering work, hardcore deep in me, I've always wanted to, create product, make products, and help the world, if you may. But it has to start where you encourage the young minds. We have the brightest people. My experience in coming to India, well, I worked in manufacturing factories in Singapore, Malaysia, and Japan. I can tell you that we probably have one of the best resources. If somebody says that, we don't have the right skills and, we need to develop, maybe right to some extent that we may not have the right skills for a particular job, but it's something you can do it in 3 to 6 months, whether it's a fab or it's packaging and so on. So I kind of completely refute that argument. When I was working in Singapore and Malaysia, for example, in the late 80s and early 90s, I saw a huge amount of investment going into these countries. And the kind of people that I needed to work with, we needed a lot of coaching. And when the corporates, because I was working in the US and we were moving stuff from the US, we had to hold back a lot of the stuff because the quality of the workforce and the expertise was not there. Now we are in and every time I was there, and I was wondering why these companies never make this decision to go to a place where the skill's already there, and why they making these decisions to go to countries where we get cheap labor and so forth. We had cheap labor too, and of course there was very valid reasons. One of it could be the government and so forth, the politics of how India was and so on. But I'm very happy to say, certainly from the presentation of the principal secretary and so forth, things have changed a lot. What I'm hearing from outside of India, that there is so much momentum in India, you go do something in India and so forth. There's a lot more skepticism within India, but actually outside of India, there's a lot of positive things. And a lot of skepticism comes because of ourselves, right? By culture, I guess, we're very skeptical people. So one thing, if you want to get into manufacturing, you have to be passionate about it. Only if you're passionate, you can drive beyond what, other people try to drown you in. So one of the requests I have is, please get the, students involved, get the best minds into manufacturing. And like some of the speakers said, the innovation is what is going to be the differentiator for us. We're not going to be the Me Too guy. I was very impressed with the GE presentation and the kind of products that we have. I only wish, we had an Indian GE. And a lot of GE guys are actually Indian guys too. So they've created all these companies outside of India. There's no reason whatsoever now, especially with all the incentives from the government, the improvements in doing business in India. Another example I'll tell you is, in 2003, I went with the business plan to set up a packaging and test factory in India, and I went for looking for funding with all these private equity funds and all that. The adding value. What is it that we can figure out that we can add value to all these, what I call partnership? So for example, right, we have companies like MediaTek, and there are also some homegrown Indian brew companies that are just coming up. And some of our guys are actually preferring to start their own companies rather than work in MNCs. When I started Tassolve, my intention was this: if 4 or 5 guys have an idea to make a chip, I wanted Tassolve to have the infrastructure for them to make the chip. Right? 4 or 5 guys can go buy some, Cadence tools, Synopsys tools, and then they have an architect, they can design. But then, somebody has to figure out how to make this a real physical chip, right? So that infrastructure is what we wanted to create. Because I saw that in Silicon Valley. And I'm glad to say my initial business never came from these guys, because there was no startups. But recently, with all this effort, and I think, the Prime Minister has also made a very good effort, he's probably the best sales guy we have in the world. The startup. The only thing is, some of the startups has to come from real products, semiconductor products or the end products. So we have the infrastructure now. We have the government support. So I think, it's imperative that, if we cannot do this now, we probably are not going to make it. So this is just to give you an example, right? What I call time is money. When because the title was about leapfrogging and so on. So you have a normal cycle of events that needs to be done in order to get a chip out from the wafer fab to a final product, right? It takes time. Depending on the complexity, like a MediaTek may take about 9 months, 12 months before you get the chip out. For a simple chip, it might be like 3 to 4 months and so forth. But it takes a certain amount of time. We have, in our company, we have created a model where we have squeezed the time to get it into manufacturing. Because remember, until the product gets to manufacturing, it's all expenses, right? The moment you decide to make a part, you're spending, right? And so you accumulate losses. And until you get to the volume, right, you're still spending. So if you cut down the time to volume, you bring in cash flow a lot sooner. I'm talking about on the operation side. I'll talk a little bit about on the market side. So here we show you that, as I mentioned to you, we created the infrastructure. What is missing is the OSAT, which is the packaging and test. And I mean, I used to put in there, instead of 2016, I used to put like 2010. Then 2010 will go by, and I put 2011, 12, 13. I hope I don't have to change from 2016. And really, I think 2016 is when we will have a packaging and test factory, because all the other elements are already there. This chart here, sometimes we don't understand our strengths. If you look at any other country, right, whether you could Singapore, Malaysia, or Thailand, or Philippines, or even to some extent Taiwan and so on, when they all started in this electronics, they only had one element to it. Maybe, the Singapore's infrastructure was good. Malaysia was cheaper. Maybe Thailand was cheaper. In our case, we have all the elements. We have all the EDA tools, most of the cadence tools, synopsis tools, development is done here. Application for around the world is actually done from India. The Indian guys actually visit customers in US and Taiwan and China. Power 7, and so on. So what is missing is the bigger picture of volume manufacturing. And one of the speakers we talked about, he said, volume manufacturing just adds a small piece to the bigger, the price of the product. But I think it's a very essential element. It may be small, and this is one of the reasons why it didn't take off, right? Because we always say, it's easier to start a software engineering company than go into this and, it's only a small amount you make. In a way, it became a curse for us because the other thing we did really, really well, and we didn't want to invest in this. So this is where I think, again, if you get the young minds to get into this, they get excited about it, and you'll see that more and more of these people want to be in manufacturing. If you go to the US now, there's very few people actually want to go into manufacturing. So we have an opportunity. I believe we can make consistent, reliable, repeatable product. One of the problems I see is, we import some of the goods from China and so on. The consistency always lacks. And I think from India perspective, you look at all the private sector companies that are very well run. I had an opportunity to meet with Hero Motors. Excellent company. Their manufacturing is world class. And it's sitting right here in India. They make very good bikes, consistent, the quality levels are excellent. So I think the private sector can figure out how to make a good quality, repeatable product. I'll skip some of the slides. I'd like to take more questions maybe later. This is just to show you the cost advantage we have. It's a true advantage. China's cost is higher, Singapore's cost is higher. I'll skip some of this. So we talked about on the factory side and the operational side. The other big challenge is you got to convince the customer to come to India, to manufacture it in India. For example, in the semiconductor, where if we are in the manufacturing, I need to convince MediaTek, for example, to say, hey, we were selling this many chips. He was very proud to say that. How many of them are made in India? Probably none. So I have to give him a compelling reason why it can be done in India. If not for the fab, at least the packaging and test. So one of the things is we constantly create questions that the customer has to answer, whether is it, why not, right? So that is how we aim to create the demand. I can't read from here. Okay, I would say in conclusion, there is still a trust deficit and a collaborative mindset, um, especially within our own, Indian diaspora versus, the people that are in India as well. So one of the things that we have to do as a community, and that will help us as well, is to spread the message that this is for real. Obviously, we're moving from a very bureaucratic kind of environment to a more nimble environment. It will take time, but it is happening. So the message is on all fronts. When I meet with people and outside of in India, and especially the Indians working abroad. So one of the other requests I have for the principal secretary and also the people involved in the government is that constantly, spread this message, convince the guys who are outside of India. And the good part is most of the Indians outside of India are holding top level positions that can make these decisions. Right? We are such a fortunate in that sense. You know the guys, right, who are leading major companies. These guys can make these kind of decisions. So we need to, constantly be there and convince them, and because we just need a momentum of reality. The moment you have a few successes, I believe, the momentum will just take off. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Manikam. Due to paucity of time, we'll take only a couple of questions, and if you can be brief and pointed on some of the questions, please.
Good afternoon. I'm one of the investors from London. Actually, one of the questions I wanted to ask, very important one, I think. I was here for the previous meets, as you can see my gray hair. And when I leave from here, after the meeting, when we want to invest, everything is looking cozy. But when we want to contact the secretaries, the bureaucrats, the secretary is not available, or you can't get through to them at all, number one. Number two, the other side, nothing happens. So we stay here because we are doing business in London. London is perfectly all right. The thing is done. Here, nothing moves in the government machinery, unfortunately. But this time, my relatives who are the ministers and friends, they say, don't worry, this time is totally different. I hope that will happen. I think so.
Yes, it is going to be different, and your experience would be entirely different. I think that's what we got. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm Goyal from Digital Circuits. This is an EMS company. You can say we are the real manufacturers of electronics. Now, the two major issues we are facing in manufacturing. One is the skill set. As Principal Secretary in her presentation has pointed out, Karnataka has 200 engineering colleges and again 200 polytechnics. Now in manufacturing, for one engineer, we at least need 5 diploma holders. So the ratio should be at least 1 to 5, if not more. It should be rather more. And what we are finding, it's very easy to get fresh engineers and not to get a diploma holder. Whereas we need diploma holders more. And the second main challenge what you are facing in manufacturing electronics is that we are put to a very great disadvantage. Firstly is the component base. Any customer who wants his product to be manufactured in India, he will have a reference from abroad, maybe China and other countries. So in India, if we manufacture anything in electronics, Mr. Sanjay is well aware, each and every component, almost you can say 80% of the components we have to import. And we have to import those 80% components, spending a lot of time, money, hassles, investments. The cost is really going to be high. And many components draw some duties also. Whereas the finished goods are imported at zero duty regime because of WTO or ITA. It is, we are in a really very difficult situation to convince the customer, yes, manufacturing in India can be more economical and viable for him. So these are the two areas which I'm not able to find the answers. Was past President Elsina also, and we have been deliberating on these issues day in and day out, but we are not able to find a viable answer to these, in spite of the government doing very hard work and coming out with very, very proactive policies. Can we discuss on that? 2 points. Thank you.
Since I have some experience of what Gupta ji is saying, I can mention that. So he's absolutely right that there was a problem of an inverted duty structure where finished goods are zero duties, but the components, because of dual use, in some cases were higher duty. And the cost of logistics, supply chain does make it very challenging for the domestic companies to compete on day one. And it's a chicken and egg problem that somehow needs to be broken. So all I can say is that in the past 1 to 2 years in particular, we have actually experienced that there are different policies of the government of India as well as Karnataka, which essentially give you different incentives, which are in a sense post-performance incentives, which allow you to kind of plug this viability gap at the initial stages and get past the chicken and egg problem. I think there is a lot of positivity around it, including the both the center and the state. I think Tanushri is here. She's aware of the ESDM policy in the state, and we are actually waiting for more people to actually take advantage of the facilities which are available, which are essentially addressing this core issue that whatever handicaps you have in the fiscal form can partly be plugged by the center and the rest to the extent that the state can, and the two together should give you at least enough incentive to reduce your handicap that you currently have pointed out. So I think things are positive. It does require a little bit of effort to put all the paperwork in place, but I don't think it's overwhelming for sure. So that's my at least personal observation.
Yeah, thank you very much. And I think on this positive note, let's end this session. Thank you. I'd like to once again thank all the speakers and all the audience to be present there. Can I request Ms. Manjula to please present a memento to the speakers?
No, I'm good. Thanks. Just need to carry my laptop out. Yeah.
chess wrote young side yet is to we are you know more this organization to different now action the of the end of pro any idea
Yes. Conditioning until first fifty
let's we can nanotechnology. So these are the sectors we envisage to boost in the country in the years to come. Now we have a breakout figure on Karnataka because as we all know, this is one of the most important states in the whole country in catalyzing, in attracting FDIs. We know that it's the fourth highest state in attracting FDIs from outside. Out of $12 billion in FDI coming from outside, our positioning in the country totalized 130 million euro in FDI. But if we look at the sectors in which we have focused our strategy in the last year, such as metallurgical industries, machinery and food processing, then we understand the value added of our presence, our industrial presence in the country. Now we have a breakup as for percentage. If you see on the right-hand side, the sectors regarding machinery and food processing, they themselves, combined together jointly, they reach something like 40% in Italian FDIs in the country. Just to underline the strength of the industrial platform in the country. So as Mr. Jatley, the Minister Jatley said yesterday, one of the key factors we have to face up in the years to come is the unpredictability and the volatility of the market. I firmly believe that Italian companies with their strength under the industrial point of view and their flexibility can combine, can actually foster a very strong partnership with Indian companies in the years to come in order to face up these key factors, in order to better face up these problems related to unpredictability and volatility. So I'm going to stop here. Sorry, I just wanted to give you a nutshell on what we're doing in India now and what our perspectives are for the years to come. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pensabene, for sharing this data and information on the trade between Italy, India, and Italy and Karnataka. I would now kindly request Mr. Amit Roy from Sace Spade Italian Export Credit Agency to share some of his insights with us. Thank you, Amit.
Thank you. Sace is the Italian Export Credit Agency. Many of people will be wondering what it is. While we are talking about any business, all business needs the lubricant, and that's what is our effort at Sace and at any export agency, is to provide that lubrication. And that lubrication comes from the financing. So essentially, through our product, along with the banking sector, we structure financing solution. And I thought at the outset, it is important to clarify this point. Trust me, we all are living at a very interesting time, a rather tumultuous time. So right from oil pricing, which is not seeing the bottom, right from China talking about the slowdown and the impact, right from fear of the Fed interest rate leading to a lot of problems. And to top it all, when we talk about BRICS, so the only country which is standing tall remains India. What I'm trying to say that is the world is changing, and it's changing very rapidly, more rapidly than we can actually comprehend. And in this context, definitely India provides an excellent platform. Yes, platform definitely is very important, but at the same time, for anyone to come, invest, and do business, at the core, the point remains very important is the ease of doing business. And that will actually lead to actual realization. We are talking about so many MOUs being signed, and at the end of the day, we are not seeing the realization. And the crucial differentiator will be this ease of doing business. We have seen a lot of positive effort being done, right from tax reform. GST is definitely pending, but more than GST, we are seeing some of the positive action. But the major enablers like land acquisition, infrastructure, labor reform, single window clearances, it's not simply these central issues. There are a lot of state issues. And trust me, when we are talking about these issues, many of these states have done a wonderful job. Southern states has been one of the very at the forefront of these things, but of late we have seen northern states catching up very fast, particularly on the labor reforms, land acquisition. So limited point I'm saying is these things will be very critical differentiator for any new company or a foreign investor to come in. And I'm sure that will be taken due notice. While we talk about, I was just looking at the sector focus, for Invest Karnataka, right from manufacturing, energy, IT, infra, textile, tourism, smart township, agri-food processing, all of these sectors, when we look at it, Italy has a lot to offer. There is a direct correlation between Italy and these sectors. And I'm sure we have already saw His Excellency talking about some of the opportunities, some of those value that Italy can bring in. We saw Trade Commissioner talking about Italy remains one of the very important trading partner. I can tell you Italy is far beyond fashion, food, and Ferrari. And these sectors, we see a lot of synergy and value addition which Italy can bring in. Especially more so when the whole world, I talked about how things have changed. Definitely the state has done a wonderful job on the services side. Manufacturing remains an important platform, and that's where Italy has a lot to offer. Today, when you look at the companies like Amazon, what has happened is the complete value has transformed from manufacturing company to the platforms like Amazon. So manufacturing has become a commodity. It's time. You will see things like Internet of Things, things like modern system and processes. They need to come in the manufacturing sectors. Trust me, Italy has more to offer, and you'll see this. I'm sure this is not a platform to talk about this, but these can be taken up in a one-to-one and an individual initiative. You'll see that being talked about in the panel discussion. And at the end of the day, as I said, SACE as an enabler for the lubricant for these businesses will be very much there. I can tell you we have been in this country for the last 4 years, and we have been successfully able to build a portfolio of more than 1 billion euro. These are in a very, very diverse sectors, right from oil and gas to automotive. The Fiat plant in Pune has been funded by SACE, to infrastructure sectors, to aeronautics. We have various airlines where we have been participant. Today I was actually in Stona, which is the marble and granite cutting equipment. Italian industries actually dominate that sector. We have been a very important participant in supporting those machines which are coming here and supporting in terms of financing. So anything to do with Italy, if you're thinking about, we could be one of the valuable partner to help and assist you. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Roy. After my distinguished co-speakers, there's nothing much left to say from outside as far as Indo-Italian relationship are concerned. Before opening the ground and giving the word to the experiences of the Italian companies present in Karnataka, let me just share with you a few words about the Indo-Italian Chamber of Commerce, what we are, what we do, and what is our mandate. We are an association of Indian and Italian companies, professionals, operators in India and in Italy. We have around 1,200 members today as part of our portfolio. We have our head office in Mumbai and regional offices in Delhi, Calcutta, Chennai, and Bangalore. We do basically three kinds of things. We try to make it easier or less complicated for Italian companies to come to India. We support them in finding the right partner. We give them directions on what kind of consultants to refer to in order to avoid making those mistakes that normally, especially small and medium enterprises do when entering in a foreign, far and difficult market like the Indian one. We also organize projects in specific areas in collaboration with Indian and Italian associations, institutions, companies, academia, in some focus sectors in which we see a lot of potential and where an institutional intervention is needed in order to support the entry of Italian companies and institutions in the Indian market. We have been working quite strongly in the construction and building sector, in the renewable energy sector, agricultural machinery and food processing sector. Those are all sectors which were mentioned by the previous speakers, in which Italy has a lot to offer, in which India, the demand from the Indian side, especially for technology, especially of expertise and know-how, is extremely high, and in which we as a local institution can play a role. We are by nature an aggregator of companies, associations, institutions. So our job and our mission is actually to bring together institutions, associations, and companies from both countries in order to work together and do profitable and sustainable business at the same time. So without any further ado, I would like to open the floor now for the companies which are going to share with us their histories, their experience, their success stories. As you will understand, those companies are active in those areas which are strategic and important for the development of the Indian economy. We have Stefano Bottene from BS Manufacturing, one of the major woodworking machinery manufacturers in Italy. They have a manufacturing base here in India as well. Mauro Mozzato from GSS Steel Italia Limited. Mr. Sorabjit Ghosh from Laguna Clothing. This is one of the most rooted investments in the textile and fashion sector in the area of Bangalore, from an Italian company called Tessitura Monti. You have one of the major, if not the biggest one, the biggest chemical for the construction industry manufacturers, Mapei India Private Limited. Streparava, which is a company engaged in the manufacturing of components for the automotive sector. And Zuari Talcementi. Talcementi is one of the biggest groups worldwide in the cement industry. So we'll now kindly request first speaker, Mr. Stefano Bottene, to come and on the podium and share with us BS manufacturing experience in India. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon to everybody. Thank you for being here today. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to introduce you our experience in India. So, my name is Stefano Bottene. I have been working and living in India now for 8 years. So it is quite some time. I love India. I love India so much that 2 years ago I got married with an Indian lady, so I think that more than this you cannot. So I have prepared a small PowerPoint presentation to share my experience with you. So first of all, BSA India is a private limited company, fully owned by BSA Group, which is an Italian company, and we are an export-oriented unit. So about 75% of our production goes from India to export. So what is BSA? BSA is a global leader in the technology for processing wood, glass, stone, and recently we enter also the field of the plastic in terms of cutting, and metal, but just for one specific machine in terms of metal, which is the water jet. In India, BSA has made of the innovation our religion. We try to innovate in the production, we try to innovate in the research, we try to innovate in the training. So the same belief that has been applied to Italy has been applied also in India. Part of the BSA group is BSA itself, Intermac, Diamut, and Mechatronic. Going fast through these units, BSA Group is the world's largest manufacturer of CNC machines for wood, glass, and stone industry. We are present in 55 countries through 30 direct subsidiaries and 300 dealers. We have more than 3,000 employees. We are the fourth largest manufacturer of working machinery in the world. We have a 46 years of experience in what we are doing. We have 120 countries where our customers are using our machines. We are the second largest provider of turnkey system in the world and the 8 manufacturing facilities across the globe. BSA is, as I was telling you, specialized in woodworking industry machines. So solution for joiners and larger furniture, probably maybe some of the kitchen that you are having in your home and living room, office furniture was made with using our machine. Intermac is a division of BSA, and Intermac is specialized in machines, mainly CNC and cutting table, for processing of glass and stone. Stone, marble, granite, mainly. BSA has considered critical the part related to the manufacturing of motors and electronic parts. So we have a division inside BSA who is providing us this technology. So motors, electronics parts, and aggregates which are used in our machine are made by ourselves. Diamut is again a division of BSA. They are specialized in the manufacturing of diamond tool for the processing of stone and glass. This has been our turnover in the last years. In 2014 we closed with 427 million. In 2015 we crossed 500 million euro turnover. So, BSA India. BSA India is, as I was saying, a private limited company established in 2006. We have
more than 750 customers in India. We have 32 different countries which are using the machine which we make in India. I have a service of 51 people capable of servicing our machines. We have 12,000 square meters of certified world-class manufacturing facility. We have more than 540 employees in India. And in Bangalore, we have a world-class technological center to provide the training. I would like to show you our corporate video. So if you can please start. Thanks. It's funny because we just tried, it was working. You know, try again, try to go back and try to. Okay. Never mind. The corporate video was about how we are organized and how in India, through our companies, we don't shape just the machines, but we shape the life of the society, trying to improve, again, the life of every component which is working directly or indirectly for us. So let me go on with the presentation. The machines that we manufacture in India are the following. We manufacture a complete range of edge benders, drilling machines, and cutting machines. To make it very simple, you know, if you need to make furniture, you start from a big board. It can be a chip board, it can be an MDF, it can be a particle board. You need to cut the board, so for this we have the cutting machine. You need to drill the board. For this, we have the drilling machine. And you need to put a tape on the edge. And for this, we have the edge benders. So the customer who buy from us the machines manufacture kitchens, manufactures living room, doors, offices, bedrooms. In India, we have a powerful structure of metal working machine which are there to manufacture the parts for our machine. So we have a 3-axis and 5-axis CNC capable of grounding and routing the parts utilized in our production. We are present in terms of service and sales through all over India. And we strongly believe that the after-sales service is the only way to be successful in a country where distances are so big. So why did we invest in Karnataka? We invest in Karnataka because there you can find the infrastructure. Here you have power supply, there is water, there are roads, train is there, technology easily available, communication works, so all components that are a must if you want to start an activity. Of course, Bangalore is a manufacturing hub where it is quite easy to find a decent supply chain, so you can find material, you can find also electric components for the machine that we need. In Karnataka, it is quite easy to find qualified engineers. Of course, we are a company manufacturing machinery, so our focus is in recruiting skilled engineers who we train both in Italy and in India itself. Bangalore is then a cosmopolitan city where technological absorption is huge. So also this, if you want to start an activity, is an important part that you have to consider. Very, very briefly, as I told you, we started in 2006. We started manufacturing some machinery. We increased the production range over the year. And this is last year board machine. So a machine where also the loading and the unloading is automatic. And also the unloading and unloading is manufactured by us. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Mr. Botany. I will ask Mr. Mozzato to share with us the experience here in India with Steel Italia, please. And
Good afternoon.
I will also kindly request to keep within the 10 minutes limit so we can be to the point and punchy with the presentation.
You started it. Yeah. Okay. Good afternoon. Too loud? Did I wake you up? No? Sorry. Okay, no, I understand how difficult it is to arrive at 4 o'clock, right? Actually, after 4. I'm here since 9 o'clock this morning, so some seminars were really soporific at best. So anyway, the guys from the embassy play a dirty game on me. They told me this morning, 9 o'clock, you gotta be here. I said, are you sure? India, 9 o'clock? Are you really? They said, oh yeah, 9 o'clock, you gotta be there, you know, the badge coming in. I said, okay, fine. Fair enough. I was here, me and the security guy, so now I know everything about cricket, kabaddi, and field hockey, so it's been good. You're gonna pay these guys. Anyway, when they asked me why your company, you are already in Bangalore, my company is in Gurgaon. And they said, why you want to open in Bangalore? I said, we follow the oxygen. So what are you talking about? Yeah, well, between dust and pollution in Gurgaon, the oxygen has packed up and moved south, guys, so there is none left, right? So every time a guy lights up a cigarette, there's a guy behind him following and said, oh, a little bit of fresh air, you know, it's terrible. No, anyway, let's get serious. I want to show you a brief film, how I get in India, how I get enrolled and come to work in India, and probably it's the same kind of situation that a lot of foreign workers they can share, right? Can we start? It's up to me? Sorry. Here we go.
I need two certified public accountants. One senior marketing consultant. One chief financial officer. Two system programmers.
Oh, baby.
But you must speak Java.
Oh, I do.
That's it for today. Gracias.
Yeah, actually, this one is how they get me in Mexico. How I came in India, I came with a plane actually, but the bottom of the story is that in the Western country, there are always lower and lower kind of opportunities and overflow of technology, very low opportunities in job. So at the end of the day, there's going to be even a bigger, higher number of professional coming over and helping actually also Indian company. My company name is JSS Steel Italia.
Ours. Now it drives me to the last slides of this presentation because here is invest in Karnataka. So do we invest in Karnataka? Yes, we are investing to announce that we have a $300 million project in northern Karnataka in Gulbarga. Thank you. And we have just finalized, together with the government of Karnataka, the acquisition of 2,000 acres of land.
Thank you, Mr. Francis. We finally got to the end of it. But if I can wind up and summarize all the interventions which have been shared with, and the experiences which have been shared with us, I would say that what Italy can bring to the table is definitely know-how, expertise, but is this particular flair for innovation and for a positioning which is different from what other competitors from other countries can do, with a specific also attention to what are the needs and the resources available locally. To end up with, I would kindly request our chairman, Mr. Ramesh Buchandani, to come on the few words to close our country presentation.
Before we close, I would like to request Senior IAS Officer Mr. Ritesh Kumar Singh to kindly hand over memento to all our panelists and moderator. Thank you very much, sir. To Mr. Nabil Francis. You can do that. Mr. Stefano. Mr. Abhijit Datta. Ms. Amit Roy. Mr. Paolo. Mr. Mauro Mozzato. Mr. Sarabjit Ghosh. Thank you very much. Now, I would like to request our chairman to kindly hand over the memento to Mr. Ritesh Kumar Singh from the chamber side. And to Mr. Gurudat Hegde. Mr. Gurudat Hegde. One more. Thank you. Now I would like to request our chairman, Mr. Bulchandani, to propose vote of thanks.
Thank you for staying awake and enjoying the session, and which was so well conducted by our Secretary General, Claudio Maffiotto. Thank you, Claudio. I would like to place on record our thanks for His Excellency Lorenzo Angeloni, Ambassador of Italy to India, for his first visit to Bangalore and his presence here to mark an important point in the India-Italy relationships, along with with Francesco Pensabene, Italian Trade Commissioner. They are both very important people to come and visit us and participate at the Bangalore GIM. I'd like to place on record our deep and sincere thanks to our business partners of Italy and India, Stefano Botteni of BS, Mr. Mauro Mozzato, Mr. Surabjit Ghosh of Laguna Clothing, Mr. Abhijit Datta of MAPE, Mr. Paolo Steparava of Steparava Holdings, and Mr. Nabil Francis from Zuari Italcementi. Thank you all so much for giving in your time and your valuable inputs. And for those of you who would like to have one-on-one interactions, they would be available after the session. Thank you so much.
Hello? Hello? I request all the delegates to collect their delegate bag and leave the hall. Thank you.